Here's where it doesn't become simple anymore, but it becomes more realistic. This is that I have a problem with. A lot of instructors don't cover this at all, and that's constructors. Now, you know what constructors are. We've already been through classes and all that good stuff before. So why does this make it complicated when we do inheritance? Well, it's something interesting. Constructors, you know how they work. But with inheritance, especially in our either whatever's directly under, above it, if you want to look at it that way, and derived or anything else like that, I have to take care of the constructors of the base class or the subclass before it first, before I can finish anything else. In this example, what I'm going to do is the base constructor has to be called and completed before the derived constructor can. How do I do that? I actually use something called initializer list. You've seen that before. That's the easy way of doing it too. So what I'm doing here is I have a legit 2 constructor options for my base class. I have to take care of one or the other. Otherwise, your IDE is not even going to let you compile this. That's how important it is. How do I do that? It's actually really simple. In whatever derived, because I'm going to be creating derived examples here, in the constructors, and notice I have 2 options of those too. Both of them using an initializer list, because it's right after a function. This one will call the literal base default constructor, taken care of. This other option, notice it's actually going to do 2 things. It's going to call the constructor with the 1 parameter in base. Notice it said base, so you know exactly where the heck it's going to go. And then, remember, when we assign values, it looks a little bit different than using the equal sign, using initializer list. I'm going to assign a value of whatever D is to data, sub data, which is right here. In either case, in either one of these, I am taking care of taking the constructor for the base class first, and then I finish up with what I want to do. This has to happen with constructors. If you don't, that's what I'm showing you in the next 2 examples is what happens if you don't. And to be very honest with you, again, the IDE won't even let you get that far. It won't let you compile. It says, wait a minute, there's something wrong. And it'll show you that. But here's usually why, is because of this setup when it comes to constructors. The base class has to be taken care of first. And then notice again, literally the order of it, there's base, literally the order of it. Base gets taken care of first, and then any other, this could have been another function, this could have been another variable, whatever, but notice that base takes care of itself first. And that's one of the complications to utilizing constructors with inheritance. Now, let me show you some things where things go awry. Here's an example that just isn't going to work. But you're going to see that it doesn't work in your IDE. It just won't let you compile the sucker, let alone that there's something wrong. Here, the base class has the exact same setup as we have with a default constructor and a base constructor. That takes another program-defined constructor that takes 1 parameter in it. Because you don't take care of it anywhere in here, in the derived class, which inherits base, the compiler is not going to like you. It's going to compile, and the error message you see popping up right now is what you're going to see for that error. It's telling you you're not taking care of business. Seriously. So that's one day giveaway that you know something is wrong. Here is another example where it's very, very close, but the IDE is not going to like you. Everything looks pretty good here, except for the base just has 1. Well, yeah, it's probably not going to like you for 2 reasons on this one. Number 1, it doesn't have a default constructor for base. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty certain that you're in C++, it's not going to like you. The IDE is not going to like you because you always need a default constructor, period. We've talked about that when it comes to classes. Now, the other part is that literally it is calling a default constructor whenever we created an instance of the derived class, passed 2 variables in there, and it's looking for base, the default constructor for base. It's not here. So here basically it's a constructor calling mismatch here. It's looking for a base constructor, default constructor. It's not there. So we're calling a function just like we normally do. When we call functions, we better make sure the name matches. This has no parameters. The only one that does have parameters. So your IDE is going to hate you for that one. But really, that's honestly for a totally different reason more than it is about inheritance. But those are the two common mistakes that are commonly made in using inheritance with constructors.